Well, welcome back to the Average Fisherman, everybody, and happy Thursday. Just to let you guys know, I did go fishing yesterday with Louisiana Blackwater fly fishing. I have not even uploaded the video footage yet from my camera. That's going to be coming up soon. I've been having some PC issues and stuff like that, so I'm getting that sorted out, and then a video will be up hopefully tomorrow. So, anyway, I wanted to do a video on one of my favorite lures that I use when I'm targeting smaller fish during the summertime. I've seen a lot of buzz about these lately on multiple fishing channels, and I figured I would do my own to show you guys how I prefer to do things. So, what is this lure? It's the Johnson beetle spin. So, let me just pull these out. I have a couple boxes here. As everybody knows, when you buy a beetle spin, it usually comes in a pack, and it comes with one of these little guys here. Okay, so basically what determines the size of the beetle spin is the weight of the head. This is a 1/32 with a little spinner and stuff like that. So way I've done it, and I saw another video again on a different channel about this, is something that I've done for years, and I just never really thought to make a video about it until I saw his, and I was like, you know what, I probably should have said something about this to people. So what I like to do is, if you go to Bass Pro Shops, just for example, or you order them online, or if you have a local mom and pop shop that carries this kind of stuff, what many do, I buy packs of just plain elbow spins. Okay, this is what they look like when you just get them out the pack. There's no bodies, no hooks, no anything. It's just the elbow spinners. Okay, so if you notice this piece here, okay, that's where it clips onto the bait like that. That becomes a problem. Okay, now do I always do this modification? No. I do it when there's a lot of current, or if presentation is really critical for some reason or another. If the fish are really aggressive and active, this really isn't necessary. But if I'm trying to be more quote unquote finessey about things, it is something that I do. So what I will do is I'll take a pair of cutters and cut this off right here so that it looks like this, right? And then I will take my beetle spin body with the jig and put it on here, and then crimp this closed so that it looks like this when it's done. There you go. Now, why do I do this? Well, very simple. If you're using lighter weight jig heads, okay, because I use Johnson beetle spins, but I also like to go and buy my own jig heads and bodies and elbow spinners and make them or customize my lures to my liking. Then you get the 16th ounce or 32nd ounce baits, and what you'll find is, as you pull them through the water, right, the extra drag caused by this little extra clip here will make the lure run not straight like this. Okay, it'll make it run like this to the side, so it's like running through the water, like angled to the side. Or if you pull it really fast, like against current or something like that, you may not be moving the bait really quickly. The lure may only be making slow progress through the water, but relative to the current conditions going in the opposite direction, it makes the lure like rotate. So it'll spin around its axis. So what you end up with is a beetle spin lure that is spinning around like this through the water instead of tracking straight. So under those circumstances, that's when I do stuff like this. So these are like my really small presentation and or fast current modifications that I make to these things. And that helps prevent the lure from running kind of sideways through the water or even spinning through the water, especially if you're going against current when you're pulling them through. So that's an important modification. I saw this on Richard Jean's channel, and I was like, I've done this for years, and I learned it because my grandpa told me about it back in the day, that if you're running a beetle spin really hard, he just said if you're running it really hard, it will tend to spin, and doing this kind of equalizes it so it'll just run straight. So I've always done this since I was a kid. So there you go. Just making the loop like that by cutting it off. Let me show you the one without a lure on it so you get a better idea again. Just like that. And you put the lure here and then just crimp this closed with a pair of pliers. You're good to go. One caveat. this will not hold the bass, okay? If you crimp this off and you catch something big like a shoe pig, like you guys saw in one of my other videos, I caught like that big old shoe pig, it will pull this straight, all right? But like panfish, like bluegills or chinkapin or sac-a-lait or crappie or something like that, they're not strong enough to pull this loop straight. So just FYI, this is panfish only modification, okay? So another thing I like to do is replace my spinners. I like willow leaves, and if you notice on here, this little body, I have a small gold willow leaf in place of what would be the standard. Well, let me get ahead here. This is a standard one right there. So Carolina leaf or Indiana, I think these are called Indiana leaves. The originals are Indiana leaf spinners. So I like to order and put on the gold willows. I like willow leaf spinners better for my beetle spins. You know, it's up to you. So what I do is I found this on Amazon, right? It's just a pack of a whole bunch of different gold colored spinners. And if you guys want links to this, let me know in the comments and I'll gladly post a link. So it's got several that are beetle spin size and even some bigger ones. So here's a little Indiana leaf spinner. I know it's hard to show on camera because it's so small, but there's several willow leaf styles. There's, you know, the perforated, quote unquote, it's not really perforated, it's more like dented, bigger willow leaf, you know, stuff like that. So I like these. This is what I use on almost all my beetle spins. So because you have to remember, essentially what a beetle spin is just a small spinner bait. Everybody uses spinner baits for bass. And this is just a really micro-sized version of the spinnerbait. So they will catch a lot of different kinds of fish. It's one of what I consider to be the most versatile lures that you can use. In fact, here's one that I do have rigged up for bass. This is nothing more than a Johnson beetle spin body. It's in a huge, you know, I think that's a 1/5 ounce weight or something like that, with one of those big willow leaf gold spinners here on a small swim style body, and I have caught bass on this. So I obviously use them for a lot of different things. I also have another shad colored type body here ready to go for it. Okay, so I classify my beetle spins and how I rig them up depending on the size and type of fish that I'm going after. Okay, let me explain to you what I mean real quick. So on these type things, this is more of a panfish type beetle spin. If I use this, I am targeting like bluegills and chinkapin, you know, small warmouths, you know, small fish, okay? I use these kind of grub type bodies that are closer to the original beetle spins, okay? If I'm targeting things like sac-a-lait, crappie, I'm sorry, I keep saying sac-a-lait because that's the local nomenclature for it here, but it's crappie. I tend to go a little bigger, all right? I use a 1/16 ounce as opposed to a 1/32 ounce jig head, but I use the bigger blades, okay? This is a typical of what I would use to target sac-a-lait, or even if I'm just doing all around fishing, you know, like I'm just throwing a big beetle spin out there and hoping for what bites. As you guys will see in the next video, I actually caught catfish on these beetle spins. It wasn't this color, it was actually this color that I caught the catfish on, but you catch all kinds of stuff fishing a beetle spin, which is why they're a really cool lure. Now, if you notice, I have not modified that lower section here, and that is because I'm expecting to catch bigger, more powerful fish than bluegill, so I do not do this modification when I'm after bigger, more powerful fish, okay? That I don't want them to be able to pull that loop out and get off, so that's why I leave it like this and I just slow roll it so it doesn't angle or twist through the water. But as you can see, this is a Bobby Garland, and that's Cajun cricket color, and I have it on this orange and yellow 1/16 ounce jig head. And I'm using obviously the bigger spinner, the willow leaf spinner. So when I'm general purpose using a beetle spin, that's what I generally like to do. The bigger the head, the bigger the body, the bigger the spinner. So here's another one that I use, okay? If you'll notice, I tend to match them together. Now, it's not really necessary. It's a little bit persnickety on my part, But that's the general rule that I like to use. So as you see, this one's called live minnow, and it's on a black and white head. This does really well, by the way, for sire. I've noticed that. Like, a lot of fish think this is actually a really live minnow, so this is a good color. It's called live minnow. So they hit the nail on the head with that one. Here's another one I like. It's crystal. And the camera isn't going to pick up exactly how good this looks, but this is a really nice looking bait, and it does look like a real minnow when it's swimming through the water. And of course I have this other one. This is a Strike King. But you get the general idea. So when I'm going for smaller panfish, in other words, panfish other than sockeye or crappie, sorry again, if I'm going for panfish that are not crappie, okay, I tend to use the smaller grub-like bodies, right? Because again, this is what the original beetle spin looks like. And the hooks on them are smaller. So these are like size 6 hooks. On those other jig heads, those are size 4s, which are 2 sizes bigger, right? For bigger fish with bigger mouths. And the wire is made a little more substantial. So you'll catch, on crappie, the membrane around their mouth is super, super, super thin, and it's not durable at all. So what you need is a big hook with a lot of surface area, so that way it goes through the mouth and gets hooked on the rim of their mouth and doesn't easily pull out. So I like the thicker metal hooks. But when I'm fishing for panfish, I want number 6 at the biggest. So that's exactly what these are. That's the original. And if you notice, this is a number 6 hook. It's a small little hook. So when I'm going after panfish, I use the smaller grub bodies. And I even have a micro jig here. So this is an example of a micro jig, and I do have it rigged up for panfish. As you see, with this tiny little gold willow blade that comes in this kit here with the replacement blades. And that's something I've been really successful with too, especially out in lakes and stuff. So that's my modifications that I like to run when I do beetle spins. The most important one being is on light fish or in heavy current where I'm not trying to catch like bass or crappie or anything else, and I'm just targeting panfish, I like to cut that little section off and crimp this here to make the bait run straight up and down through the water, right? You can also do this for bigger fish if you have a heavier gauge wire on your elbow spin. That will also hold. You know, it takes some force to bend it around to crimp it back so that way you hold your bait on there, but it does work if you can get the heavier gauge wire for the elbow spin. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys this, you know, that this is typically what I'll do when I'm running for bluegills only. In fact, like I said, here's a different one, and you can see I've already made that modification here on this one specifically for bluegills because that's all I'm targeting. And it's got that little small gold spinner. So I hope you guys find this helpful. By the way, if you guys leave it in the comments or shoot me an email, if you have questions about anything that I do or the products that I use or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to give you guys the links. Obviously, I'll say it again. I'm not a monetized channel. I'm not a sponsored channel. This is all information I'm giving you guys to help you go out and catch more fish. Not that I'm, you know, God's gift to fishing by any means, but I do know what I'm doing. And I think that shows in my videos that I very rarely go out and strike out. Yesterday wasn't a bumper day. I ended up with 2 keepers and a catfish, but I caught tons of fish. But I only had 2 keepers, and it's just the way things are right now here in South Louisiana. The water temps are really warm. It's the dog days of summer. We're coming into towards the end of August. It's the hottest month, and fish just really are lethargic this time of year here. So the fact that we went out and caught anything at all was a good day, right? But we're coming up to fall, and fall means a resurgence of the fish biting again a lot. So I'm going to be definitely using these when I go out this fall, because these modified beetle spins, and the reason why I'm posting this is not just because, hey, I saw a bunch of other channels posting this, but it's because in the fall, these setups really, really will catch you a lot of panfish, okay? If you're after bass, I can do a separate episode on that for what I use for fall. But if you're targeting crappie and big bluegills and stuff like that in the fall, this stuff will really get you a lot of success on the water. So any questions or anything like that, or anything else, if you want to send questions for me to answer in a video, shoot me an email or leave a comment below. I'll end the video at this, since I've pretty much run through exactly what I do with my beetle spins. And I hope it brings you guys success. Have fun and stay safe on the water, and tight lines, my friends.